Padres baseball brought to you by Jerome's Furniture, where Jerry's price is the lowest price every day. No phony sale, just pure value. By Petco, what we feed them matters. By Jack in the Box, for a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. And by Sony Action Cam, prove yourself. Well, let's hope that it's not a rocky 3 games here, the Padres and the Phils. Time to make amends. It's a beautiful day again, 82 degrees. The humidity is comfortable here in the city of brotherly love. Padres lost 4-3, 4-2, and 5-3 in the 3 games to the Phils back at Petco Park. Maybe it's time for the Padres to organize a sweep of their own. Time now for our Saquon Pick the Stick. You fans decide who you're with by tweeting out hashtag I'm with. Last name of the broadcaster you think has the best pick tonight. And if you're right, you could win a free foursome of golf at the Saquon Golf Resort. There are the selections tonight with our leader, Chris Button, has Spangenberg, 259 points, 4 more than Mud Grant, who picks Jed Jerko tonight. Mark, you've gone with Solarte. Pomeranz with Upton. He had the first selection. I'm going with Norris, who had a couple of hits against Aaron Nola in their meeting in San Diego. Here's the Padres lineup now, brought to you by Toyota. Pat Murphy has them ordered this way without Matt Kemp. It'll be a bit different again. Melvin Upton leading off, then Solarte and Upton hitting third with Jed Jerko swinging the bat really well on this trip. He's hitting in the cleanup spot in front of Yonder Alonso, then Derek Norris, the catcher. Corey Spangenberg at second. Ian Kennedy, the pitcher, will hit 8th, and rookie Travis Jankowski 9th.
Well, a scouting report for the 22-year-old Aaron Nola, the LSU product. He's coming off his best start, 8 scoreless innings, striking out 6. Lives down in the strike zone, not a velocity guy. He'll sit right around 90 miles an hour. And the curveball is the wipeout pitch, and also a changeup that's improving.
Did not get the decision in a Phil's win in San Diego, and we're underway. Starts with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball to Melvin Upton Jr. Upton just missed a home run last night. Would have been his 6th off the top of the wall in Washington. Came out as a triple. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Oh, what a defensive night by Melvin Upton Jr. last night. The nice catch in the first inning off of Zimmerman, and then the throw home.
That one hit softly to right center. It could fall and does not. The catch made by Altier, the 6'5" right fielder, using all of that length to take a base hit away from Upton.
Well, they're raving about this young man. He goes a long way and then diving forward. One of the toughest plays as an outfielder, going across his body to make the catch. Offensively, he's done a nice job in earning his stripes in the outfield.
Born in Germany. Mother was in the military there. Her father was a German soccer star. Jan Solarte steps up, the third baseman, hitting .266. Most of his power from the left side as he hits tonight. And it's strange to come to Philadelphia here late in August and not see every seat occupied.
Yeah.
So many years, though, it's sellout after sellout.
Well, you've seen a lot of rookies, a lot of young talent. But they've traded away a lot of their older players and their veteran guys. Did a lot in a uniform of the Phillies.
That ball hit well to left field. Chases Ashe back to the warning track and at the wall makes the catch. It's a small yard, a hitter's ballpark. We're going to see some home runs this 3-game series as we look at the Phillies starting defense. Ashe, we just saw him in left with Herrera in center, Altair in right, Blanco and Galvis on the left side, Hernandez and Ryan Howard. There's one familiar name, Ryan Howard, the big guy at first. Rupp behind the plate for Nola. Yeah, a lot of big names. All-Stars are gone. Utley and Rollins, Papelbon and Revere and Hamels. Justin Upton, a couple of home runs in the middle game in Washington. The 1 victory out of the 3 for the Padres to open this road trip. 1-1.
You see Aaron Nola trying to establish down and also into the Padres as we take a look at the umpires. Jerry Meals, the crew chief at home plate. Andy Fletcher, Jordan Baker, and Paul Emmel.
Off the head of the bat, an easy play for Nola. And the flip to first for the out. 1, 2, 3 go the Padres in the first. 8-pitch inning for Aaron Nola.
The ninth.
Strike 3 call. Oh my! Strike came out. Beautiful night here in Philadelphia. We're pleased you've joined us for the first of the 3-game series. Here's the Phillies batting order brought to you by Hyundai. Cesar Hernandez will lead it off. Then Odubel Herrera bats second. A couple of Venezuela products. In fact, 4 of the 8 regulars are from that country in the lineup tonight. Altair, then Howard and Blanco with Ashe, Rupp, Galvis, and Nola, the pitcher.
Well, the scouting report brought to you by Montalvo. Rhythm in the first inning for Ian Kennedy, and it's set up the changeup. Got to be careful with that high fastball, especially early in this game, because this is a small ballpark. But you have to be pinpoint at the top of the strike zone. Had that curveball and changeup mix tonight.
One of 3 switch hitters in the lineup, Hernandez. All 3 of them much higher batting averages, right-handed, all over 300. So to have a right-hander on the mound and turn them around, hit left-handed, at least it's not their stronger side.
Well, I like this by Ian Kennedy, forcing the issue of that fastball in here. You don't want the hitters to extend their hands, but also that changeup. He has a good feel for that changeup tonight. That's going to come into play with all these left-handers.
25 years of age, Hernandez from Venezuela. Good speed. And he works the count to 3-1. Ian Kennedy seeking his 9th win of the year. He's been in a good pitching rhythm here in the month of August. 2-2 with a 2.19 ERA. And the count full. Total renovation here in Philadelphia of the 25-man roster. They've gone to youth and small salaries. That one line deep to left, but it'll go out of play.
Well, Dick, the Philadelphia Phillies chose not to have batting practice today. 13-inning game against the Mets. In a 4-game series, they struck out 44 times. Now, Mark Grant's the mathematician. That's 11 a game.
Very good. You didn't call him to get help, did you?
No, I'm giving him his time off.
All right. Hope he's having a good week's vacation.
We miss him.
You saw Pete McCannon, the interim manager for the Phils, just as Pat Murphy has that tag with the Padres skipper. Hernandez, not much power. As we said, he uses those legs. He leads the team in stolen bases. And he's going to get a chance right off the bat as he walks to lead off the first inning. Breaking ball hanging outside. The San Diego defense tonight brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. The two Uptons in left and center with Melvin Sr. in center, Jankowski in right. His second start in right field for Matt Kemp. Bruised shoulder. Solarte and Jerko at shortstop tonight with Spanchenberg and Alonso on the right side. And Norris behind the plate for Kennedy. Odubel Herrera, 23-year-old, also from Venezuela. He's hitting .291. Widespread stance. And they'll keep an eye on Hernandez with his 19 stolen bases.
Well, Dick, you look at the outfield and they're playing shallow here. No reason to press the issue and go back, because if it's over your head, it's most likely a home run. So you'll see the center fielders push up just a little bit, play a little more shallow than normal.
Straightaway left and straightaway right. About as comfortable a distance for a home run hitter as there is in the major leagues. It does fan out deep in center, 398, or deep right center, 409, and deep left center. But the power alley's 374 and 369.
Well, let's put it this way. I felt like a power hitter when I played here. Enough said.
But you did like swinging the bat in this ballpark.
It was great. You could see the ball very well. The hitter's eye is very good. It's conducive to seeing the ball, which is a huge key, but also the dimensions. You don't have to square it up, and it'll travel.
Herrera, Rule 5 selection from the Texas Rangers. Looks as if they have a good one. 291 with half dozen home runs, 14 stolen bases. A ball and a strike. Yeah, along with Utley and Rollins, their longtime double play combination, they're gone. Both to the Dodgers. Papelbon, the relief pitcher, we saw him in Washington. Ben Revere, a good outfielder, and then of course the ace left-hander Hamels going to Texas. That's in there. 1-2.
Well, Dick, as an organization, you have to assess youth and a blend of youth and experience. And sometimes it's very difficult to part ways with so many people who have been a part of your history, winning a world championship and also on their decline. And you have to make tough decisions.
1-2. In the dirt, gets away from Norris, but not far enough for the advance by Hernandez. Surprised he didn't try to go there.
Yeah, Cesar did not read that ball.
He was taking a step back toward first rather than leaning toward second, where he might have made it rather easily.
Well, as base runners, you have to anticipate balls in the dirt, especially with Ian Kennedy, knowing that he has that breaking ball.
Healthy lead for Hernandez. 2 balls, 2 strikes coming up. Speed can be distracting.
Well, it also forces the pitchers and also the catcher to want to throw that fastball more, especially when you have speed on the base paths.
Only thrown out 5 times, Hernandez. Did he go? No. Paul Emmel there at third.
Let's see if he goes. Yeah, I thought that was pretty close.
So another full count. He walked Hernandez on the 3-2 pitch. Now he's gone the distance with Herrera. My guess is Hernandez is going here. There he goes. Ball 4. So that's not the way you want to start a game. Walk the first 2 hitters. but so it is. That sets the table for Altair and Howard. Well, we're down here. We threw away all our oxygen masks from Washington, and no longer will we get a moon burn.
This feels good. Yeah, I like this.
You can
it's
see
good area.
Actually, the foul balls go over your head instead of looking down on them.
This is good. You look good. I don't have my coat on. I'm sorry, but it's beautiful out in Philadelphia.
Points off. Mark Sweeney sitting in for this week-long road trip while Mark Grant enjoys a well-earned week's vacation.
I tell you what, when we go on road trips, Mark Grant is missed by a lot of people, and he should, because he is so great in this game.
He's the ambassador from San Diego. He knows everyone. Everyone knows him, especially the cooks and the waiters in the.
The ice cream guy said to say hello.
Yeah, Frank, hey, if you're watching, Mark, Frank, the ice cream man, says, hey, man, they got an overload of ice cream here. What are they going to do with it all? Chopped to short. Backs up. Does Jerko. Now to first base, no double play. That's a double play ball, but you got to charge the ball, not let it play you. But credit to Jerko. He's playing a strange position, and so first and third with one out.
Well, you see him, and he ends up hitting his chest for that.
So Hernandez over to third as we take a look at the keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, it's a payback, and you said it, Dick. The Phillies swept the Padres at Petco August 7th through 9th, so they have to do that, give back to them. But Kennedy continues his hot run in his last 7 starts, 4-2 with a 2.27 ERA, almost 10 strikeouts a game.
Now here's the big cleanup man, Ryan Howard, the one familiar name and body in the starting lineup. And he's up there with first and third with one away. Here's that last play.
Well, again, like you said, Dick, he comes back on it, and not a normal shortstop. Yes, he played it in college, but that rhythm and timing at the shortstop position. And credit Ian Kennedy getting that ground ball.
Quite apparent. You charge that ball, there's so much more time to turn the two. So first and third. And he went around. Howard with 355 career homers. 21 this season. A constant threat for the long ball.
And in 56 career games against the Padres, 11 home runs, 52 RBIs with a 309 average.
Inside 2-1. Well, the Padres have had their troubles with certain teams. Arizona comes to mind. But no one has been tougher to beat since Petco Park. Petco Park and this park, Citizens Bank Park, were built the same year. 2004 they opened. The Phillies done more damage than any team. 53-23 against San Diego. And another pitch out of the strike zone, 3-1. There is a base open. Second base with Andres Blanco due next. You don't want to give this big guy anything too good to hit here. 3-1. Shift on, so tough to turn a double play, especially if it's hit to the left side. Runner goes, and it's another walk. So Kennedy has walked the bases loaded. That brings Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, to the mound, as this isn't the Ian Kennedy we watched most of the year. He's normally in full command.
Well, especially after the All-Star break where he's been good, but you see the ball strike ratio not good at all. He's been a little off, and this is the tendency for Ian Kennedy when he goes through some stretches with his starts. He gives up early runs and then he settles in, and you wonder if mentally he does certain things coming out of the bullpen and going on to a different mound, which is the mound he'll be pitching on, but not comfortable with his mechanics early in this ballgame.
Andres Blanco, another Venezuelan. He's 31. Traveled Kansas City, Cubs, Texas, Phillies last year. Hitting a solid 301. That's a strike. And Kennedy is one of the Padre pitchers not afraid to pitch inside.
And I like that too. It opens up so much and really changes that vision and thoughts for the hitters.
Line drive caught at third and a double play. Solarte leaning to the foul line to snare a double away from Blanco. That might have been a 3-run two-bagger down in the left field corner. Instead, a double play. Jan Solarte, thank you very much. Bows Ian Kennedy. The Phils come up empty.
Have some speed in the lineup today with Travis Jankowski and Corey Spangenberg. The two are good friends, and every day during early work at 2:30 they're out here on the field practicing their bunts, and you've seen that pay off with their speed. They're able to run out bunts. I was talking to Pat Murphy about it today. It's an asset of this game that they haven't had a lot during the season, but with the two of them and the two with their speeds that they both have, certainly adds a lot to this lineup. The two of them also very competitive with who's faster. You ask both of them, they each say themselves. We'll have to see. Maybe we can get them out on a foot race.
Yeah, that'd be good. Let's set up a 40-yard race, see how that comes out.
You know, Chris, to your point too, if you're not going to have Matt Kemp in the lineup, you're not going to put another player in there that's the same caliber as Matt Kemp, so you have to change the dynamic of it. So that bunt speed element has to come into play.
Chad Jerko opening the second, hitting cleanup, 3-0 the count. Chad robbed of a double last night on a terrific play by Rondon of the Nationals at third. And ball four, a 4-pitch walk opens the second. Good sign for the Padres, perhaps. Well, the Bill Howe play of the game was indeed a beauty. This would have made the score 3-2, and Jerko would have been standing. Oh, we're going to this one. Okay, that's the Solarte Bill Howe play of the game. We had a lot of choices there. The play last night at third by Rondon, and then the incredible play made last night here by the New York Mets, Daniel Murphy. And we're going to show you that later. Maybe the best defensive play of the entire season in the big leagues. So that was Solarte saving a possible big inning for the Phils after Kennedy loaded the bases.
Well, you think about that play by Solarte being the right place at the right time, but for Ian Kennedy, better be lucky than good. It was really good hitting and fell into a nice break getting out of that inning. Now he can settle in.
Nola walking Jerko on 4 pitches. And after 5 in a row out of the zone, a strike to Alonso.
You know, what you love about Ian Kennedy is how he makes adjustments throughout his games. And it's really a feel for him, especially that curveball. But fastball command creates everything.
Line drive to left field, hit well. As she goes back and makes the catch on the run. Jerko jogs back to first. Alonso hit it hard, just as Solarte did to left field. Just not enough carry. One out to Derek Norris, the catcher. Nola looks a lot taller than 6'2", doesn't he?
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of the ex-Padre Andy Ashby, who lives in the area, but the body type and also riding his legs, you see his delivery. It's that sinker that you have to live down in the strike zone, but also the curveball to go along with it. Andy Ashby had the slider.
Slow breaking ball for a strike.
And that's that curveball, and you could see the tight spin on that ball.
He was voted the National Collegiate Pitcher of the Year just a season ago. Drafted then in the first round by the Phils, 7th overall, and he's made it to the big leagues in less than a year. One and one.
Well, you grow up in Baton Rouge and you watch LSU Tigers. Everything is the purple and yellow, and then he goes to LSU and has a great career there, and now he's in the big leagues. What a great program that is down at LSU.
One and one to Norris. Fouled at the plate.
Now, typically, Dick, you don't see younger pitchers. It'll change speeds with their fastball. You see 93, 94, but you also see the 90 miles an hour. Just changing shapes of their fastball. The two-seamer, also the four-seam fastball, and in and out. That's what you learn as you go along in pitching at this big league level. So many young kids want to show velocity in the minor leagues rather than being able to pitch. This youngster knows how to pitch.
Strike three called. The breaking ball catches Norris looking. First strikeout tonight for Nola. Brings up Corey Spangenberg.
Well, he's getting the curveball, and he has a good feel for that. It looked like it was off the plate a little bit. Derek Norris thought it was too.
So no damage done so far by the leadoff walk to Jerko. 2 outs. Right to Howard. They don't come any easier than that. Bottom of the second, Cody Ashe will lead it off for the Phillies. Citizens Bank Park last night here. Look at this play. Caroms off the pitcher, and Pat Murphy makes a play here that's impossible. It's a blind throw, and it's perfect. He couldn't have thrown a dart any better than that if he were 15 feet away and had full faculties. That is just sensational. How often do you see a play where a pitcher gets an assist and an out on the same play?
Yeah, and he's typically a second baseman. He's moved to third base and now first base. But, man, the Mets cannot do anything wrong these days. They've been playing solid baseball.
Ball back through the box and caromed off the pitcher and then right to Daniel Murphy, and he makes that, and that's not his accustomed position for space. Fabulous.
Yeah, and then he had the game-winning hit in the 13th.
Ashe leads it off in the Phil's second with Rupp and Galvis to follow. 25-year-old from the University of Nebraska, Cody Ashe.
Well, 6 hitters for Ian Kennedy, and he has not gotten ahead of anybody yet. As we see the boot by the ball girl in right field.
Now that's a tough carom. That's a no play. You can't charge.
Yeah, I can't say boot. That was a little strong.
Yeah. You're tough. We need more official scorers like you. There's the changeup way out in front. It's just an absolutely incredible position, much like at Petco Park, where you're looking down to the skyline of San Diego. Here you're looking off much farther in the distance. Swing and a miss, and there's the strikeout for Kennedy, his first tonight. You see the skyline and tall buildings of downtown Philadelphia, probably as the crow flies 2-3 miles away.
Well, pitching inside for Ian Kennedy, especially late. Typically, you'll see Ian Kennedy try to elevate as we see that skyline you were talking about, Dick.
That's our view. Beautiful day in Philadelphia. It's one of the new ballparks, and one that hitters do enjoy visiting. I didn't see a lot of brotherly love today, but it's there.
I wanted to see Rocky running the streets.
Well, they've moved that statue from the art museum somewhere else now. Cameron Rupp, the catcher, has 6 home runs, and he hits that one high in the air behind second. Jerko calling in front of Upton. 2 away. Brings up shortstop Freddie Galvis. Well, it's confusing this time of the year, and I don't think the average fan understands all the machinations of signing players and contracts and free agency and at all. You want to get into Ian Kennedy and his future. He's just 30 years of age. Galvis, another of the switch hitters, the third in the lineup tonight. So this is the last year of his contract with San Diego, Ian Kennedy. So what does it mean that he will then be a free agent, and where do the Padres come into that picture?
Well, you wonder if they're going to have conversations leading into the offseason to see if they would keep him, but it's decision making. And if you look at Ian Kennedy and his track record, the numbers in the second half, and I'd rather have a pitcher that has second half numbers that are very good, because you're thinking about constructing a roster. You want pitchers that pitch very well late in the season. Obviously, you take it all the way through. But for Ian Kennedy, the consistency and taking the ball every 5th day is very important. It goes a long way.
Strikeout per inning pitcher. He does throw the home run ball. He is a fly ball pitcher. Foul tip, and it remains 1-2. That one got a piece of Derek Norris, so it didn't take long, just the second inning before he gets one. Plate umpire Jerry Meals will take time and walk out a ball to Kennedy to get rid of the ouchie.
You don't realize at times even foul balls actually picks up speed.
Fouled again. He gets it again, Norris. So I just going back to Kennedy. So he's at the end of the season, if the Padres haven't signed him, he's a free agent. The Padres have a chance to sign him, and they could make an offer, correct?
Yes.
That he could accept or not accept. If
Yes.
he doesn't accept it,
then he goes into free agency in its open market.
Now, what if somebody else then wants to sign him for the same amount that the Padres offer?
Well, the Padres can choose to give him a qualifying offer, and if they do that, doesn't mean that Ian will accept that. And then if he's signed by another team, another club, the Padres get compensation pick for that, from the team that signed him,
which is a good pick. Ground ball up the middle. Spangenberg better hurry, and he just does get Galvis by a half stride. 1-2-3 inning for Ian Kennedy.
Yo, Adrian.
Yeah, Stallone, where are you when we need you? Left, right, uppercut. Let's go. Hubba hubba. Brought to you by Geico. July 19th, 1982. Tony Gwynn gets his first major league hit against Philadelphia. Left-handed reliever Sid Monge. And look at Pete Rose as he goes by. He's going to say something to Gwynn. And Gwynn told us a couple of years ago that Rose says, now just take it easy, kid. I don't want you to catch me.
Yeah. There was someone that was going to. It would have been Tony. And man, do we miss him. Mr. Padre, always in our thoughts.
Absolutely. We go to the third inning, no score. Kennedy batting eighth in the order, then Jankowski and the leadoff man Melvin Upton. Kennedy has 4 hits this year, 3 of them doubles. He'll run into one now and then. Well, I know some of you fans that visit Philadelphia in the tourist mode would like to go see the sights, and that Rocky statue is an interesting photo opportunity, and we've got the inside information now as to just exactly where it's located. 2 strikes to Kennedy and rolled foul. Originally it was at the Art Museum up on the steps there. Then they moved it to the old Spectrum nearby where we are right now, with this big sports complex with the Link, the football stadium for the Eagles, and the hockey and basketball arenas, and here this fine facility. And after they tore down the Spectrum, they moved it back to the museum. Swing and a miss, and that's the second strikeout. Aaron Nola. So if you're here in Philadelphia, go back to the Art Museum. It's not on the top of the steps, it's around on the side at the bottom of the steps. So there you have it. Yeah, we took the bus ride last night after the final game in Washington, a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
No,
I liked it.
They were still playing. We were watching the Phillies-Mets game on television on the bus as they went 13 innings. Jankowski is 5 for 17. Takes strike 1.
We talked about these Philadelphia Phillies hitters, 44 strikeouts. The pitching staff gave up 13 home runs to the New York Mets. The first game they hit 8 home runs in one game.
Yikes. 13 homers for the Mets was an all-time New York Mets record for a 4-game series. Breaking ball hangs outside. Padres need to start rattling that back rack. Since the home run, the second home run by Upton in Game 2 in Washington that won the game 6-5, they have only 3 hits in the last 13 innings. High fly. Ashe squeezes the second out in left field.
You know, I agree with you, Dick. And you think about what happened last night, and yes, Joe Ross pitched a really good game for the Washington Nationals, but they looked a little passive to me. And passive means you want to be aggressive at the strike zone, but you also want to have a plan of attack. They looked like they were very passive and they were sitting back. And at this level, if you start getting behind in pitchers counts, you're going to rack up strikeouts. That's what happened last night.
Yeah, Ross seemed to throw that first pitch strike without any challenge, as Upton first ball swinging, fly ball to Howard, and another 1-2-3 inning as Aaron Nolan rolling along as Joe Ross did last night. Trade tonight.
Well, if you watch this play, and this is a Ryan Zimmerman RBI, but Melvin Upton, after the nice catch earlier in the game, makes a great defensive play, and Austin Hedges with the tag on Bryce Harper, limiting the runs, and gave the Padres an opportunity to come back from that deficit. A nice throw by Melvin.
A strike from center field. And almost homered as well, settled for a triple. Last of the third, the pitcher Nola leads it off and takes strike one. He's 2 for 15. Nola making his 8th start of the season. Built along the lines of the Padres' Colin Ray, and we're going to see Ray tomorrow night, 3:30 our TV time, and half hour earlier for the pregame show on Fox Sports San Diego. Shot at one hop right to Spangenberg, 1 away.
Well, stay tuned tonight. They'll have a sit down with Chris Budden and Colin Ray. He will have his first start on the road. 3 of his starts have come at Petco Park, so that'll be an adjustment and an experience for that. Stay tuned with the sit down with Chris Budden.
Cesar Hernandez walked the first time, as Kennedy walked Hernandez, Herrera, and Howard, but got out of it on the line drive double play to third.
Well, Cesar Hernandez is 3 for his last 28 with 12 strikeouts, and he is leading off. The reason why I say that, Dick, is that the Phillies are in the developmental mode at the big league level. This youngster, they'd like to learn how to hit at the top of the order with his speed. Also being a switch hitter, that helps.
That's a strike on the inside corner. He was hitting a lot better when Chase Utley was here. Now Utley's been traded away, and he has inherited that second base job, and with it comes some added pressure.
Well, that's what they're evaluating, and this is an evaluation process for both sides.
Swing and a miss, and down goes Hernandez. Second strikeout for Ian Kennedy. Here's our Arco top tier profile tonight from Philadelphia, featuring the right-hander from the University of Southern California. It's what we were talking about earlier after the All-Star break. Look at his record, much improved, 41-20, and the ERA almost well, more than a full run lower.
Well, you think of track record, and also that's a resume, and Ian Kennedy has that and has developed that scouting report on him, so he is a value asset.
Now, why do you think that is? Why is he that much better a pitcher?
Well, you know, I think he makes adjustments. We talked about that early, in-game adjustments, but also feel for it. His work ethic in the offseason will get you to that point. But that's just how the styles are. You know, it goes from hitters and also pitchers.
Well, just like Matt Kemp has, his record after the All-Star break is so much better than before.
Well, listen, there's only so many Clayton Kershaw's, Zach Greinke's that are pitching consistently all the way through the year and have occasional bad starts.
Can we throw Madison Bumgarner in there?
You can put him in there too. But you have to do it for a long period of time.
2-1 now to Herrera. He too walked in the first inning.
So many times these days you want to anoint these younger players that haven't done it for a very long time as established players, and really is not the case. It's not just a 2 or 3 year period. It's a long part of your career.
Back with a fastball for a strike. How old were you when you played your first major league game?
I was 25.
When did you feel like wow, I'm a big leaguer?
Well, I felt like I belonged probably mid-season the following year when I was there a full year.
Mm-hmm.
But you never felt comfortable because I was the 24th, 25th guy on the roster. So it was literally day by day and year by year for me. But I think when you establish yourself and you know what you are, you're constantly trying to get better. And some of these guys set that bar so high, and then they try to reach that again, and they have disappointment. So, listen, there's career years, but there's also bad years that you have to mentally be strong to get through this game and stay at this big league level.
It's really a ladder, a progressive ladder. Oh, fooled by the breaking ball. Herrera, he can continue right on walking to the dugout. 1, 2, 3. The Kennedy third inning with a couple of strikeouts as he gets both Hernandez and Herrera.
for the 4th. And tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag SDStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile.
Yeah, you got to be a U.S. citizen, 18 years or older now.
Yeah, check your ID.
Eliminates us. Is there a top level limit on the age?
I think we're over the curve.
Padres and the Phils looking for a hit. It's all pitching so far as John Solarte leads off the 4th inning. He hit the ball well the first time, but deep to left. Ground ball toward right field, but closed by Hernandez and went away. Padres against Aaron Nola back at Petco Park earlier this month. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 runs and 6 hits, did Nola. 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. So far, only 1 walk to Jerko has marred a perfect 3 1/3 innings.
Well, you see this young man, he's pitching to contact because he doesn't have the velocity. Good curveball, as we see the last 13 games against the Phillies for Justin Upton. Remember, he was in Atlanta Braves uniform last year.
Tap back to the mound the first time, with Jerko to follow, as Upton, for one of the few times this year, hitting in the 3rd spot in the batting order with Matt Kemp on the sidelines. Inside, off speed, change, 2-0. 7 straight now retired by Nola. Kennedy has retired the last 7 he's faced. Shift on. Some teams don't swing that second baseman over to the shortstop side, but Philadelphia going to pitch him obviously inside.
Well, they'll pitch him inside or slow away. That breaking ball will come into play. But for Justin Upton and not having Matt Kemp either before him or after him, they'll pitch him differently tonight.
That ball is drilled to left center field. How far will it go? All the way. Touch 'em all. Number 23 for Justin Upton. Boy, that was a laser shot to left. So low, you expected the shortstop to try to leap up and catch it. And the Padres lead 1-0.
Well, 2 nights ago, Justin Upton had 2 home runs in Washington, and this is the exact same swing. Again, an absolute bullet. Pitching away, and he puts the barrel on it. Using that lower half, the bat speed that we talked about earlier. Just into that first row, but 1-0 Padres.
Brings up Jerko, strike 1. Look at the bat contact speed, almost 106 miles an hour. Now that is what you call barreling up a pitch. Now it was a 3-0 pitch that backfired on Washington in the series in D.C. Off the pitcher, and Karam's to second for the putout. Two outs here in the 4th. So the first hit of the game for either side is a home run by Upton. Yonder Alonso lined out to left his first time. We talked about Ian Kennedy and his future as a possible Padre. So it is with Justin Upton.
That's going to be decision-making time for the Padres. And like I said, evaluating and trying to construct a roster moving forward. And it's not just the talent on the field, what you bring to your teammates as in the clubhouse, on the field, playing every day. You look at Justin Upton, he wants to be in the lineup every time. He's a difference maker.
There you see someone who wants to play lower left. Will Myers. Boy, he was very impressive in batting practice tonight. He was hitting shots way out in left field. There's a one-hopper. Look at Howard with the glove. Nice pick by the big first baseman. Take a hit away from Alonso. That's it for the Padres in the 4th. But Justin Upton's line drive home run to left center field has given San Diego a 1-0 lead.
Presented by Saquon Casino returns. This week, the Padres surprise a group of kids with a day at the ballpark with the help of Yonder Alonso, Trevor Hoffman, and more. Plus, a one-on-one with a swinging Friar in his first ever sit-down interview tonight after Padres Live on Fox Sports San Diego.
Are we going to unmask the Friar, or is he going to be in full attire?
No, he's got to keep that thing on.
I would hope so. Wait, are you sure it's a he?
Well, she's got to keep that thing on.
First pitch is right in the back of the Phillies. Aaron Altair, number 3 in the lineup. So not a fastball, a curveball that didn't break. Leadoff man on. So Altair saving a fielder's choice the first time, hit by pitch. And that sets it up for Ryan Howard. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Wait for a pitch here. Ryan Howard walked the first time. Shift on. And he beats the shift with a line drive to right. Altair will stop at second. And that's the first Phillies base hit of the night. And here's our cold hard fact. Most career RBI since 2006. There's Howard in the second spot behind Miggy Cabrera.
Well, you think about that list, and the names speak volumes of how impressive it is that Ryan Howard's second on that list.
So first and second with no one out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. The Padres 1-0 lead threatened as Andres Blanco steps up. He lined into that double play with the bases loaded the first time. Solarte in on the grass at third. He's not bunting.
Well, you see Solarte in on the grass protecting that bunt. You see the alignment in the infield, and the shortstop Jerko is playing up the middle, trying to hold that base runner.
And there's the bunt, and it's a beauty. That's going to be a base hit. So perfectly placed that Kennedy couldn't get it, and by the time he missed, he was out of the play, couldn't get to first. And it's an easy bunt single, beautifully placed by Blanco, and the bases are loaded again.
Well, this is on the first baseman Yonder Alonso, and you can see him playing back, and he goes straight to first base. It's a perfect bunt, but a situation you have to be aware of in controlling that. And if it is a bunt, you have to have communication with your second baseman, Corey Spangenberg.
So a hit batsman and a couple of singles, and the Phils have them loaded up here with no one out in the 4th. Cody Ashe takes strike 1. He struck out swinging the first time. Infield will set for a double play. Trade 2 outs for a run. Popped up. Shallow in center. Jerko calls off Upton and makes the catch. That was an infield fly, even though it was deep out of the infield into shallow center.
Well, good pitch by Ian Kennedy, inducing that pop-up. And now again, he is a pitch away from getting out of a big situation. You look at the pitch, it looked like a changeup that Ashe is way out in front, and the frustration in an RBI situation, the ideal spot, bases loaded and no outs. But now the Padres are 1 pitch away.
Cameron Rupp is grounded into only 4 double plays. He popped up to short his first time. Slider on the outside corner. Just a 200 hitter and limited opportunity with the bases full. It's going to get a run home. Alonso's throw is Alonso catching the throw, Solarte off, but that ties the game on a ground out, not hit hard enough to turn 2. Give Rupp his 20th RBI of the season. So the hit batsman leading off becomes the run. Freddie Galvis with 2 outs and runners at second and third. Howard moving over to third and Blanco to second. And he's not going to get a chance to hit. They'll walk him intentionally and take their chances with the pitcher Nola, who hit the ball hard the first time. That will be the 4th walk from Kennedy. Yeah, what a contrast in the 2 runs. The Padres get their run on a bullet home run to left center field off the bat of Upton. Philadelphia comes back with a hit batsman, a single, a bunt single, and a ground out to tie it. So the base is full again. Nola has 1 run batted in, playing in his 9th game.
See Pat Murphy having discussions with bench coach Dave Roberts. See if he starts him off with a breaking ball, because he hit that hard smash to Corey Spangenberg his last at bat.
Oh, baby faced, huh? 22 years young. Pitcher catcher in agreement on signs. Now they're ready.
Yeah, a little slider to start him off with. It looked like Ian Kennedy couldn't see the signs, and that's the reason why he stepped off. You have to be on the same page when it comes to this situation.
Oh no, all the way to the screen, and that'll give the Phillies the lead 2-1. Howard comes in to score on the wild pitch.
Well, it looked like Derek Norris was a little late and couldn't decide on what he wanted to do with his glove, and sliding over, and this gets by him. This is frustrating from the Padres' perspective. You walk the previous hitter to get to the pitcher spot, and you throw a wild pitch.
So the Phils have the lead 2-1. A gifted run here with the pitcher at bat. Two balls and a strike to Nola. There's the hit batsman, the wildness that started the inning, and he scored, and then a wild pitch for the second run. 3-1.
Dick, let's watch Derek Norris as he tries to block this ball, and he tries to go to the side. He's late getting that glove down. When you talk to a lot of catchers blocking baseballs, it's that glove that gets down first, and the body returns and trying to block that.
Full count now to Nola. You can see he started to backhand the ball, then he tried to turn it around and glove it and get his body in front of it, and at that time it was too late.
You got to remember, he knows what pitch is being thrown, and it wasn't a fastball, so you have to anticipate that pitch.
Foul tip, strike 3. But the damage done. A couple runs for the Phils on just 2 hits. It's 2-1.
Citizens Bank Park. How many Philly cheesesteaks can you eat in one series? Well, former Padre Matt Latos held the record that was standing until this summer. He had 18 cheesesteaks in a 4-game series. And then the Milwaukee Brewers bullpen coach just crushed us. Marcus Hanel, 23 cheesesteaks in a 4-game homestand. I talked to Padres bullpen catcher Justin Hatcher. I said, hey, you going to try that? He said, absolutely not. I prefer to not feel terrible every single day that I'm out there. So what do you guys think? 23, is it doable?
Gastrointestinal. Ooh,
I feel terrible without one in it.
I know, one's a lot. 23?
Wow.
But your location now, I can identify with the other concession behind you. Isn't that Turkey Hill, the ice cream maker that's right next to the Turkey Hill.
Oh, that's weird. You know about the ice cream?
Oh, yeah.
You hate ice cream, Dick.
Oh, my. They have one of the features of the cafeteria here is there's 6 different flavors of Turkey Hill.
Yeah, you pulled your hamstring getting to the ice cream bar today.
I may go on the DL, but boy, do I feel good. Derek Norris leads off the 5th inning. 2-1 now Philadelphia. Norris, Spangenberg, and Kennedy. Norris took a 3rd strike his first time. Yeah, the Padres try to overcome what was uncomfortable bottom of the 4th inning as they were much too generous to the Phils, helping them to get 2 runs. There's a shot right to the second baseman. Hernandez in the right place for the first out.
Well, we've seen a conscious effort of Derek Norris going the other way, using that right center approach, and that is a nice swing, unfortunately lined out to the second baseman.
That'll bring up Corey Spangenberg, who grounded out to first. Nice convenient one hop to Howard that took him right to the bag. Padres with the only one hit. That's the Upton home run. The only base runner, Jerko's walk, other base runner. Starts him with a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Almost looked as if he took something off that.
Yeah, he adds and subtracts with the fastball, and it's not always that same consistent velocity.
He's only thrown 44 pitches to get 1 out into the 5th inning. They got a game break coming up. The Bengals and the Blue Jays. Two balls and a strike to Spangenberg. Up the middle, that's a base knock. Spangenberg will take a big turn here as the ball's in right center field. He's going to try for 2, and with his speed, he makes it. You can't play casually in the outfield there, and center fielder Herrera kind of loped over for the ball, and Spangenberg had it in front of him, and that is a leg double for Spangenberg.
Well, Aaron Altair was in right field, and you see Corey Spangenberg, once he sees it past the second base, he puts his head down, and credit him hustling into second base with 1 out, but taking advantage of that lackadaisical play in the outfield. Herrera was swung in that left center gap, but that's a right fielder spot. He put his head down and was surprised of Spangenberg's speed.
It was his legs last out that got the Padres their first run on the bunt single and the 2-base error and sac fly for the early 1-0 lead in Washington. No chance to tie it here. Kennedy with 1 out. Takes strike 1 at the knees. Fastball. He struck out swinging the first time.
You know, Tim Flannery, the third base coach who retired last year for the Giants, also in the Padre uniform, always said base running, you have to play the scoreboard. 1 out, Corey Spangenberg puts his head down and gets in the scoring position. That is smart baseball, and that's winning baseball.
Norris lining out to start the inning, and then Spangenberg coming back with a leg double, hustle double. (2-1) the Phillies lead here in the 5th. Fooled there on the off speed. 2 strikes on Kennedy.
Let's see if he goes fastball in here off of that slow breaking ball.
Oh, another breaking ball in the dirt. Good block by Rupp, the catcher.
He's a big boy. Nice target to throw to. Giving him a good look with Carlos Ruiz, the veteran catcher, losing playing time.
Yeah, Ruiz and Ryan Howard, the only two left from that championship team a few years ago. He lays off the breaking ball, and it's 2-2. Will he throw him another curve? Tying run at second, one out. Fastball tailing outside, full count. Good job by Kennedy to work it full. Jankowski hitting ninth will be next. One out here in the fifth, the payoff pitch. Protecting. On the outside corner, strike three. Kennedy knew it. Third strikeout for Aaron Nola. So with two outs, it's up to Jankowski. Down in Washington, they open a three-game weekend series with Miami, and the Nationals are trailing 4-2 in the fifth inning. Boston is in New York against the Mets. No score in the fourth.
Well, again, adversity for the Washington Nationals. Denard Span will miss the rest of the season with hip surgery. Just came off the disabled list for the first two games of that series
against the Padres and looked good. Jankowski flied to left his first time. Change up. Jim Brett's the Padres scout here in the Northeast, signed Jankowski, and he's here rooting for his pick. A first round selection out of Stony Brook University on Long Island.
Pretty classy move from the Padres, and having him to see Jankowski being in town and being congratulated for signing him.
Pickoff attempt. Spanchenberg back. Yeah, it'd be nice to see the young Jankowski please his scout who believed in his talents and recommended him so highly to the Padre organization a year ago. One and one. Much like Joe Ross last night, Nola, nice composure. There he is in the white shirt. Jim Brett's. Tied him up inside with another fastball, and it's 1-2. Spanchenberg ready to roll with 2 outs at second base. Strike three called. Both Kennedy and Jankowski caught looking. Halfway mark, 4.5 in the books. 2-1 Phillies. All right, thank you. And a good play at both ends. Jerko at short and Alonso at first base on that ground ball up the middle off the bat of Hernandez. And he's one of the speedier Phils. Good attack by Jerko to come up with it. Whirl and fire to first, and Alonso at the other end.
Well, you see Jed Jerko in the hands that he can create in the back end by Yonder Alonso. Was trying to get in a good throwing position after you make this play, and that was a quick turn for Jerko.
One away here in the bottom of the fifth inning. The Phillies lead 2-1. Odubel Herrera has walked and struck out. Toronto leading in that game in Detroit, or at home against Detroit, 5-1 in the fifth inning, while the Yankees are in Atlanta tonight, and they're leading 5-2 early. Second inning.
Well, I gotta agree with Clay. Donaldson has just put on a show since being traded over from Oakland to Toronto. He has catapulted that offense, and already over 100 RBIs on the season. It's a sure thing MVP if the season ended today.
Well, a lot of outstanding former Oakland A's sprinkled around the big leagues. Zesped is another one. Carlos Gonzalez another. Slap foul. 2 strikes on Herrera with Voltaire on deck. The commissioner, Rob Manfred, was here in Philadelphia yesterday. There are some heavy discussions going on about whether or not the major leagues should start putting up netting from dugout to dugout during games.
We touched on that in our broadcast down in Washington because they put up netting for batting practice. But you know, the technology these days, and especially extending it down the dugout level, I think is very important. Think about the kids and families that sit in those seats and exposed to batted balls, and also bats coming out of hitters' hands. It's very dangerous down there.
It's that check swing that just jumps off the bat and is in on the crowd in a blink of an eye, and you can see just those fans there have no protection if they're not watching it. You know, sometimes there's a father or a mother there with a little baby. How are they going to be able to get out of the way?
Well, you also think about too the cell phone usage and putting your head down and not watching the balls off the bat.
That Padre fan, though, is ready.
He's locked in.
Yeah. 1-2 to Herrera. And he takes strike 3. Number 5 for Kennedy. And that takes us to our Cholula flamethrower.
Hey, let's take a look at that. And the velocity. 94 miles an hour out of the hands of Ian Kennedy. That's hot sauce. And you want to put that on a cheesesteak. You know where I could find a cheesesteak?
Yeah, I think I could get you one. That would be good on a cheesesteak. You know, I find cheesesteaks being a little bland, so that would really give it a little life.
Tony Luke's. Let's get down there and let's put some Cholula on it.
2 outs to Aaron Altair. He's safe on a fielder's choice. Was hit by a pitch leading off the 4th inning, and that began the 2-run inning for the Phils. He came around to score eventually. And then another run came in on a wild pitch with the bases loaded and the pitcher up.
Well, 240 average and 6 for 30 on the season, and he's still looking for his first single on the year. 4 doubles and 2 home runs.
Isn't that amazing? First 6 hits, all extra base hits. That has happened very rarely in baseball history. In fact, since 1900, he's the first player to start his major league career with 6 hits, all extra bases. Built like a basketball player. 3-1.
Well, what they're saying about this youngster early in his career, he has a short stroke but has a lot of power in that bat. And we always say that's usually the adjustment that a lot of these young hitters will try to make, is shortening their swing so they give themselves more time.
3-2.
See the length through the swing, but short to the baseball. And that's a good recipe. And if you saw the scouts before That's what they're trying to look at. Bat speed, but also a short stroke will play at this big league level.
See what he gets here, a full count. He was a 9th round pick 6 years ago by the Phillies. Ryan Howard on deck. Good cut there. It remains full.
Well, you think about what he's done in his short career, and yes, the extra base hits, but you have the presence of Ryan Howard in the on-deck circle. That'll get him some different pitches. There's Ryan Howard going over his mechanics. But how they develop these young players offensively is very important.
In on the fist, and there's where the cage in front of the dugout of the Padres pays off, because that ball was coming in hot.
I see the boys laughing now after it ricochets off of that netting in the front. Brendan Maurer, yeah. It'll wake you up. It's the 9th pitch of this at bat.
And he gets him swinging. Couple of strikeouts for Kennedy, a total of 6 in the game. On to the 6th, a 2-1 contest. You by Sequan Casino. Play, win together in the heart of San Diego. And by your San Diego Lexus dealer. As we welcome you back to Philadelphia Citizens Park Bank Park on this Friday night. Pleased you've joined us. Tomorrow we'll be on the air at 3:30 with our Padres pregame show here on Fox Sports San Diego. Colin Ray on the mound for the Padres against Adam Morgan, a young left-hander for Philadelphia. Top of the 6th, top of the order. Melvin Upton leads off for the Padres, trailing 2-1. The only run on the home run by Justin Upton, a solo shot, his 23rd of the season.
3rd time against the youngster, the 22-year-old right-hander. Time to make adjustments for the Padres, in-game adjustments.
Oh, that breaking ball looked pretty good.
Yeah, he's spinning that breaking ball nice.
A ball and a strike to Melvin Jr.
Solarte nicely, right?
That's correct. Another breaking ball and a wave and a miss. Just 2 hits and a walk. Only 3 base runners for the Padres. Their run on the home run. A double by Spangenberg, a hustle double, and a walk. Tries a fastball that misses inside. Only 61 pitches to get into the 6th inning. Very economical. And down goes Upton again. That's the 5th strikeout and 3 in a row now for Aaron Nola. And time now for our Fan Diego fans of the game. And they are here to have a good time now, huh?
Yeah, they are.
Well, come on now. Give us a smile now. It's coming. All right.
Come on.
Yeah, it's in there. Hubba hubba. Solarte. Inside ball 1. He's fly deep to left and grounded to second. Two balls, no strikes.
Well, you think about it, Dick, and the 22-year-old Nola, mostly fastball, curveball the first 2 times through. Now he's starting to incorporate the changeup a little bit. He's been giving up the home run on the changeups.
High chopper, convenient hop. Hernandez, 2 away. So Solarte 0 for 3 tonight, and here's Upton. Tap to the mound and tapped a line drive over the 387 sign for a home run. Our closed captioning tonight brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. Has more letters Wiener Schnitzel than Spangenberg on his back.
Putting that on a uniform.
Three home runs on the road trip in 4 games for Upton. Takes the 90-mile-an-hour fastball. I'd like to have that one back, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that's, to me, that's the difference of this Padre offense the last 2 nights. A lot of taken fastballs, and we see the arsenal by Aaron Nola. He's been very aggressive with the fastball. We saw that from Joe Ross. And if you are defensive as a hitter at this level, they're going to make you silly. Most guys at this level have good secondary stuff to go along with that fastball.
Three straight fastballs, 2-1. Here's the home run by Upton. The only question was it high enough? It was a line drive to left center field and just carried into that first row for home run number 23. There's the curveball, and that froze him 2-2. It's been effective all night, the curveball.
I think sometimes offensively you can sit in between pitches, and what I mean about that is you're thinking about the curveball, but you're not quick enough to explode on that fastball.
Well, he explodes on that curveball. It's high in left field. Has Ashe got room? He does. Barely missed his second home run. Oh my, that was close. It remains 2-1 Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, the Padres took the lead on this Justin Upton swing, his 23rd home run of the season in the 4th inning. And then a rough inning for Kennedy, the 5th. Bunt single that loads the bases off the bat of Herrera, and then the run scores on a slow roller off the bat of Cameron Ruff. And then the 2-1 lead is taken on a wild pitch with the bases loaded. And that's where we stand as we go to the back of the home half of the 6th inning. And Ryan Howard leads off. Hanging curveball, and Kennedy got away with it. Howard has walked and singled and scored that run that broke the 1-1 tie on the wild pitch. Shift on. Oh, and 2. Ryan is now 35 years of age. Great career here in Philly. 3 straight breaking pitches. Andres Blanco and Cody Ashe to follow.
Oh, Dick, you see Ryan Howard setting that front foot early, trying to maintain that vision by keeping and controlling his head movement. A lot of strikeouts in Ryan Howard's swing, but also a lot of power.
Fly ball left. Upton. Justin with the catch.
Well, trying to eliminate just the timing aspect of your swing. You set that front foot early, try to stay back as long as you can. Ryan Howard just gets out front. Always thought about Tony Gwynn and how he controlled his head and the consistency that he could use the barrel and control the barrel of the bat. And Ryan Howard trying to make adjustments as he starts losing that bat speed just a little bit. Not the same player Ryan Howard came up to the big leagues like.
Blanco with that perfect bunt single in the 2-run inning, the 4th. It was so perfect that no one could even get to first base to cover on him. One out, bases empty here in the home half of the 6th. Citizens Bank Park. Not the usual sellout crowd that we saw so many years in succession. Soft pop up in foul territory, and Solarte is there. 2 away.
MLS Soccer Sunday returns this week with an East Coast rivalry as the New York Red Bulls take on DC United at 4 o'clock Pacific on Fox Sports 1, sponsored by Audi.
DC United. They're in first place now. It'll be a good one. New York right there as well. Cody Ashe has struck out and popped ashore. Off speed, ball 1. Former Cornhusker at Nebraska. Solid student. Economics, 3.4 GPA. If you could translate that GPA to a batting average 3.40, that'd be okay, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be okay.
Two runs, 2 hits for the Phils. 1 run, 2 hits for the Padres. The difference is a wild pitch with the bases loaded with the pitcher at the plate. Full count. The Padres, after the games tomorrow night and Saturday afternoon, or Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning back home, return on Monday night, the first of three, with the Texas Rangers, who are in a battle for a playoff spot. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, the Rangers in town. Then the Dodgers for 4 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday next weekend. Another foul.
Well, the Dodgers just placed Yasiel Puig on the disabled list again. The continuing hamstring problems that he has had.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Kennedy prevails, 7 strikeouts. We've completed 6. It's 2-1 Philadelphia.
Selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag SDDataStrongFan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
Family that roots together, hoots together, you know.
Yes, and stays together.
All right, Richard, nice job. Padre fans, as was the case in D.C., plenty of them here tonight. They need some runs here. They're trying to dial up some here. As we go to the 7th, Jed Jerko leads it off with Alonso and Norris to follow against Aaron Nola, working on the 2-hitter. Ball 1. And this is, if nothing else, just to get Nola into the 7th inning, a big break for the Phillies, because that bullpen is mighty weary. They had to go 13 innings last night, and the Mets more or less wore them out in the 4-game series.
You know, again, you have to commend the young right-hander for knowing how important this start was to try to eat up innings, not only try to get a win, but to pitch deep in the ball game, and he has done that.
Jerko walked his first time, tapped out 1-4-3 the last. But Norris, pitched a third of an inning last night. Ground ball, but there, oh, at third base digging it out is Blanco for the first down. Our game tonight from Philadelphia is presented in HD by Sony. Beautiful pictures from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
This really is a beautiful ballpark. Talked about how small it is, but the fans are right on the field. It's a great atmosphere. I've been here for playoff games, and the intensity of these fans, and it's a great fan base, and they're very passionate about their Phillies. They're going through a transition time.
Alonso takes ball 1. Oh, this is a passionate sports town, isn't it? The Eagles and the Flyers, 76ers, and of course these Phillies. Alonso has hit in tough luck tonight. He's lined to left and had a hit taken away from him on a sharp ground ball to Ryan Howard, who picked it beautifully the last time up. And he's got the count to 3-0. It was a 3-0 pitch that Alonso clubbed for the home run, but the only Padre run in the fourth. But Alonso takes ball four, a 4-pitch walk, only the second free pass from Nola tonight. See if the Padres can take advantage.
That's a good at bat by Yonder Alonso, and drawing that walk and putting Nola in the stretch.
So the tying run with one out right there at first. Alonso. Derek Norris has struck out and hit the ball hard the last time, a line shot, but right to Hernandez, the second baseman. Time, no pitch. Nola waiting a little too long for the comfort of Derek Norris, so he'd call time. Nola had gone through 13 consecutive innings, scoreless innings, before the Upton home run in the fourth. So the young kid is the real deal so far. He's thrown that breaking ball for a strike consistently.
Has a really good feel for that breaking pitch, and that is his best secondary pitch of the night. So an occasional changeup to give a different look, but it's been fastball location, changing speeds, and the curveball. Going back to that curveball right here.
I'm not sure that's where he wanted it. It was right there for Norris. Didn't go outside. Look where this one hangs.
Yeah, it almost looks like he gets out of his hands from Derek Norris as you see him buckling on that pitch. Just not seeing it out of the hands of Nola.
He struck out looking on a pitch like that the first time up. So 1-2.
It's like they're going in with the fastball.
Alonso at first with a walk here in the seventh inning. 2-1 Philadelphia. The Phils won 3 tight games at Petco. That was part of that 6-game losing streak, losing 3 in Milwaukee and then 3 in a row at home against Philadelphia, as the Phils came up with a 4-3, a 4-2, and a 5-3 win. Damaging sequence, those 6 losses, when you look back on the year. And another breaking ball, and Norris goes down swinging. 6 strikeouts now for Nola.
Well, again, different shapes to the curveball, and this one is down in the zone, out of the strike zone. Looks like a strike coming out of the hands. And when you pitch ahead, you can expose a lot of these hitters out of the strike zone.
Spangenberg is grounded out and then hustled a double. It's a base hit into right center field. And when he saw the outfielders not hurrying to get to the ball, he just kept right on running and picked up a double. But Padres unable to get him home as Kennedy and Jankowski struck out. Ball 1.
Well, Dick, the pitcher spot up next, and Brett Wallace is on the on-deck circle. He's been swinging the bat real well off the bench.
He's become the premier pinch hitter for San Diego.
Yeah, that's the changeup.
John Kelly joins Bud Norris. And the shortstop right there. Galvis with a short out, and the Padres unable to do anything with the walk. It's the stretch half of the 7th. Yeah, the bench is cleared after a quick pitch. The Phillies involved with the Mets earlier, and that brought a considerable adrenaline to the contest.
Well, Larry Boa, the bench coach for the Philadelphia Phillies, as you could see, is very passionate about the quick pitch. It happened the previous night, and it's frustrating because it's a defensive hitter in the batter's box. You have to stay in the batter's box in a quick pitch when his head was down. You think about protecting. There's so many positions they're protecting of the catcher, the pitcher. Well, Larry Boa thought that it has to be addressed as we see the career profile of Larry Boa.
Cameron Rupp takes strike 2, leading off here in the bottom of the 7th. You've had a chance to be in the same dugout with Larry Boa.
Very impressed, and I love him because he is very passionate about the game of baseball, very knowledgeable, taught me a lot about the game. And I know he's done it all in the game of baseball, not only a prolific shortstop himself, and in his coaching career, managing career, managed the Padres.
You know, there are managers, they say, well, he's just too easy. He's just too nice a guy. And then there's some that, well, he's too tough a guy.
Yeah.
And, well, he falls into that tough guy.
Well, he does. And you can't fault him for the passion that he has for the game. And that's the reason why he stays in it at this capacity. He loves it.
Bench coach. That ball drilled to left field. If it's fair, it's trouble. It is a foul ball. Cameron Rupp flirting with his 7th home run of the year. You were saying something about Boa and how impressed you were with his baseball intelligence.
Yeah, and you know what? He is, he dots the I's and crosses the T's on everything. And I had him in Los Angeles, and he was the bench coach for Joe Torre, and it was a good mix.
He's a lifer.
The plaque of Larry Boa behind the shoulder of the Michael Jack Schmidt fan, the old school Phillies uni. There it is.
2-2 to Cameron Rupp. Kennedy now well over the 100 pitch mark.
Yeah, he's trying to get our T-Mobile SD strong.
Jerome Williams, who was scheduled to be the starter on Sunday, but they pulled him back and he's been sent to the bullpen. He's warming up. And a rookie will make his debut, Alec Asher, on Sunday, a right-handed pitcher acquired from Texas in the Cole Hamels trade. So it'll be Adam Morgan tomorrow, a rookie left-hander, and then on Sunday in his big league debut, Alec Asher. 3-2. Well, the Padres have run into two very talented young right-handers, haven't they? Both 22 years of age. Joe Ross last night went 6 innings, allowed only 1 hit and 1 unearned run. And now Aaron Nola tonight, only 2 hits and 1 run through 7 innings. Ooh, what was wrong with that pitch? That's what Kennedy must be thinking as Rupp walks.
We see the 9th pitch on our Fox Tracks, brought to you by Nissan, just off the top edge of that plate. Could have gone either way.
5th walk and a hit batsman tonight for Kennedy, and his occasional wildness has cost him. Brings up Freddie Galvis, switch hitting shortstop.
Pitching coach Darren Balsley going out to have a discussion with Ian Kennedy. Join the movement to create a world without cancer. The Padres want you to join Pedal the Cause and raise money for the San Diego's cancer fighting centers. You can ride and be a virtual rider or donate. Anyone can ride. Join Team Padres or ride on your own. To learn more or register, visit sdpedal.org/register or text PEDAL to 41-444 to donate today.
A great effort between the Padres and Fox Sports San Diego, and we hope all of you will join us in that outstanding charitable thrust. Mark Zepchinski, the left-hander.
Well, Dominic Brown is on the on-deck circle for the Philadelphia Phillies, a left-handed hitter. You think Zepchinski is getting ready for that at bat.
Meanwhile, is the bunt in place here for Galvis. And being swept by the Mets, 4-game series, the Phillies used 4, then 5, then 6, then 7 pitchers. That's why the Nola effort tonight is so important. Runs up and try to slap it to left field.
And Freddie Galvis doing the fake bunt, pulls it back and slashing that ball to the left side. See Solarte tight on the corner.
We're up at first base with the walk. And there's the bunt, and it's a good bunt. Spangenberg just does get to second base in time. Rupp moves into scoring position. 1 away for the pinch hitter.
Dick, let's go back to the situation. So watch Freddie Galvis. Watch the feet move. He fake bunts and tries to slash that ball to the past that third baseman with Solarte moving in on the grass. Then he executes the sacrifice bunt. But those are little things that you do, almost like a Ichiro technique where you're moving the feet and controlling the barrel. That's a tough thing you have to work on.
So that'll be all for Aaron Nola as Dominic Brown bats for him. And Kennedy stays in. 110 pitches now. Jerome Williams, the veteran right-hander, will come in apparently in the 8th inning. Kennedy trying to hold the Phillies at 2-1. Brown is hitting .230 on the season with 5 home runs. That would have to be disappointing for the Philadelphia Phillies. Highly regarded. A fake throw by Norris.
Kennedy's season high is 122 pitches at Milwaukee on the 6th of August. This will be his 113th delivery.
Off speed, levels the count. Leadoff hitter Hernandez would be next. Best hitting for Brown, obviously, with men in scoring position. The announced attendance 25,145. That includes season ticket holders that may or may not have used their ducats tonight. Nice Friday night for baseball, and the hometown Phillies do have the lead 2-1 and a chance for an insurance pickup right here. And a gutty performance by Kennedy, allowing just the 2 hits that came, however, in the same inning. The 4th after he had hit Aaron Altair to open the inning. Then Howard lined a single to right. Then the bunt single by Blanco. That was the big play. Loaded the bases with no one out. And then the tying run scored on Rupp's 1-out ground ball to third. Wasn't hit hard enough for Solarte to make a play at the plate or a double play. And then they walked Galvis to load the bases with 2 outs to bring up the pitcher. And that's when Kennedy fired the wild pitch to the screen, scoring Howard. And that's the go ahead score, 2-1. Good at bat for Brown. He keeps fouling them off.
Oh, you see Ian Kennedy, plenty of velocity, 94 on that fastball. It's getting into the dangerous territory when you think about how many pitches he has thrown tonight.
Cesar Hernandez would be next.
This will be the 9th pitch of this at bat. Derek Norris just trying to get on that same page.
The Phillies, as they've cleaned house in essence, going with the youth movement, have fallen to 50 wins and 78 defeats. They're 21 and a half games behind the Mets, and just suffered that 4-game sweep where their pitching staff gave up 13 homers. The only run tonight, 1 home run, a solo by Upton, only 2 Padre base hits. Finally, a pop-up middle of the diamond, change up, and Jerko makes the catch for the 2nd out. Yeah, just to review the former Philly stars, all this group, Rollins and Utley on the 2 ends there, the double play combination here for more than a decade. Papelbon, one of the top relief pitchers. Cole Hamels, one of the top starters. And Penn Revere, I've always liked him.
I did too. And you think about the big trade chip, which is Cole Hamels, and heard him throughout the winter meetings all the way through the season. And he landed in the Texas Rangers uniform. Got Murphy going out.
And with 2 outs, and Cesar Hernandez, the hitter, he's a switch hitter. This is going to turn, if he's bringing in Zepchinski, then that'll turn Hernandez around to his better side. He's .314 right-handed. But Kennedy, a long night, a hard night's work. The bottom of the 7th inning. Ian Kennedy goes 6 2/3, allows only 2 hits, but a couple of runs. His wildness an issue. Got the bases loaded, pitched out of it in the 1st inning with a double play line drive, but the hit batsman to lead off that 4th inning was part of the 2-run success of the Phils. And the pitching change with Bud Norris coming on. Brought to you by El Cajon Ford.
Well, 118 pitches for Ian Kennedy. That's the reason why you bring in Bud Norris, and the switch hitter Hernandez, as you talked about, Dick, is better from the right side. That's the reason why you bring a right-hander in. A lot of managers will try to switch hitters during the game and put them on their weaker side. So Pat Murphy does. He keeps them on that left side.
Hernandez hitting .248 left-handed, but .314 right-handed. Tonight he's walked, struck out, and a good play made by Jerko at shortstop to deny him a hit. There you see it. He's had more chances left-handed. But over 100 at-bats from the right side.
Well, they're just asking Bud Norris to try to get through this inning. The pitcher spot leads off the next inning.
Norris came in last night in relief of Andrew Kashner, and after he hit Bryce Harper, struck out Escobar to keep the game close. A couple of home runs late by Worth and Zimmerman made it a 4-2 final. Rupp out at second base with 2 outs. .95 on the first fastball. Padres with only 3 hits last night, just 2 tonight. Ground ball, Jerko. The long throw in time. And that's it for the 7th. Philadelphia goes down. Padres need a run to tie. A 33-year-old native of Honolulu. His 21 games this year, all starts. This is his first in relief. His numbers are not good. A 4-10 record, a 6.13 ERA, and he goes to work here in the 8th inning. And it's Clint Varmus hitting for Bud Norris in the pitcher spot, the 8th spot in the order.
Well, for Jerome Williams, it's the fastball, cutter, changeup, and curveball, and relies on trying to put these hitters on the ground.
Line but foul down the left field side. Varmus, then Jankowski and Upton for the Padres here in the 8th. Oh, Aaron Nola, 7 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Williams pitched against the Padres at Petco and pitched well. They won that game on a Sunday 5-3. We're talking about the Padres and Fox Sports San Diego and their attack in terms of charity on cancer. Jerome Williams wears a pink glove as a big league pitcher and honoring his mother Deborah, who died of breast cancer. Line to right center field, and it's carrying out to the right fielder Altair. 1 away. Look at our National University standings tonight. Yeah, it's the Mets 6.5 over Washington, the Cardinals 4.5 ahead of Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers 2.5 lead against the Giants. With the wild card picture right now, it would be the Pirates and Cubs in that wild card. Giants, Washington, and Arizona, they're going to have to come up with a miracle finish to get a wild card.
Dick, it looks like the Central, and they've been playing solid baseball, led by the St. Louis Cardinals.
Jankowski with a bunt. Can he beat it out? Here's the throw in time. Well played by Blanco at third. It wasn't a bad bunt at all. Blanco was shaded in on the grass to begin with.
Well, Dick, you think about the different level in the play defensively at this big league level. Jankowski laying bunts down the minor league. Sometimes that play is not made as consistent as it does at this level. Nice play by Galvis. Excuse me, Blanco making that play.
Melvin Upton flied out, popped up, and struck out tonight. Hammered a deep drive to center late in the game last night for a triple. He certainly has the power to reach those short bleachers and left. Padres running out of time, trailing 2-1. And that ball hit hard to center field. Herrera going back and makes the play in front of the 401 sign, a line out. Williams gets the Padres in order. We go to the bottom of the 8th. By Mercury Insurance. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com and see how much you could save. And by Petco. What we feed them matters. And welcome back to Citizens Bank Park here in Philadelphia, where the Phils hold a 2-1 lead, each team with only 2 hits. The Phils put them together in the same inning along with a hit batsman and a wild pitch for a couple of runs to counter the home run by Justin Upton. And we're at 2-1 as Mark Zepchinski will be the Padre pitcher here in the 8th inning. Herrera, Altair, and Howard, a couple of left-handed batters, do here. Actually, all 3 are left-handed. Herrera starts it off. He struck out twice and walked. Veteran lefty gets that fastball up there around 92. It's that big sweeping breaking ball. It's his out pitch. And he comes in with a fastball at 91. 22-year-old Herrera. Left side. Jerko. He wasn't going to get him anyway. Alonso hustles back after the ball. Infield hit. Herrera deep short. And with his speed, it was going to be tough for anyone to throw him out.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Should be the express written consent of the Padres and Mark Grant.
Yes.
Don't you think? It's his favorite thing to do. He's
got
it memorized and rattles it off like one of those speed readers. Drive to right field, and no, Jankowski can't get it. So running around third is Herrera. He will score all the way to third. Goes Altair. It's 3-1. That line drive tailing away from Jankowski, and he didn't play it safely, and the Phils have a run, and another man perched at third with no one out.
Well, do-or-die situation. He's going to his left, and this ball is drilled by Altair. And if you make a diving play, you got to try to keep it in front. Herrera goes all around with the speed and the turn. And again, Altair, 7 hits in the big leagues, all extra base hits.
That is really most extraordinary. As we said earlier, the 6th first major league hits being extra bases, that you have to go back more than 100 years to find that for Philadelphia. And now it's 7.
4 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs to start his career.
Ryan Howard, a walk, a single, scored a run and fly to left. Fouls that at the plate. Infield in. Well, that's a big run, and they threaten with no one out to make it a 4-1 lead. What is it about the Philadelphia Phillies against the Padres?
Well, you usually have a team, just like hitters have pitchers that they can't figure out. There's always a team that gives you problems, and for the Padres, this Philly team continues to give them fits.
After sweeping them at Petco at a time when the Padres thought, well, after slugging their way through a season with most every opponent having a winning record, they get Milwaukee and they get Philadelphia both in last place and lose 6 in a row. Go figure.
Well, I don't buy into the younger players in the game that are coming up from AAA and still big league talent. And what I really believe that happens at the end as Ryan Howard goes down swinging, a lot of these younger players, taking a look at the last slider by Zepchinski, but these teams are difficult to play. They're hungry, they're getting opportunities at the big league level, and they're fearless because they have nothing to lose.
That's right, everything to gain. So 1 out. Altair still at third. Blanco has lined into a double play with the bases loaded, a perfect bunt single, and he's fouled out. batting right-handed for the first time. And from that right side, a .373 hitter. Only .253 left-handed. Overall, up to .302.
Yeah, potential squeeze situation too.
Infield in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, when you have the lead and an aggressive approach by Blanco.
See him taking a long look at third base coach John Mizorok. That one skipping through a lot of hands, and you got to be in the right place at the right time. Despaigne for the Padres in the pen. Big situation here. It's 3-1. You want to hold it there and give your team a chance in the 9th inning for a comeback. A reasonable comeback. Yeah, that ball just grazed him. So first and third, and Cody Ashe is the hitter. Or are they going to go to the bench with a pinch hitter? Looks like they're going to use a pinch hitter. Jeff Francoeur, Frenchie's going to bat. Francoeur's had a nice season here in Philadelphia. He was popular when he was with the Padres. Good guy in the clubhouse. Great attitude, love for the game. He's hitting .274 this year with 12 homers. And as a pinch hitter, batting .471. He's 10 for 22. So with the right-hander introduced, Pat Murphy's going to go to the mound and counter with Despaigne, the right-hander, in the bullpen.
Well, Pat Murphy knows Jeff Francoeur. He managed him last year.
So Despaigne jogs in. He'll inherit first and third with 1 out.
Behind the Bolt with Nick Hardwick and Aztec Football with Rocky Long. But first is an all-new Extra 1360 Fox Sports San Diego and Padres POV. Padres pitchers Brandon Maurer and Colin Ria visit the Sony Studios in San Diego.
Oh, over!
Got it.
Nice. Solarte, do it. Do it.
Okay, after the game tonight, after Padres Live, the post-game show, stay with us for Padres POV and Maurer and Ray, the special guests. As we go back to the action, bottom of the 8th inning here in Philadelphia, with the Phils adding a run on the infield hit by Herrera, and the Ball line drive to right. Altair becomes a triple to make it 3-1. Altair still at third. Blanco at first. One out. And Espana in to pitch to Jeff Francoeur.
Francoeur, a very aggressive hitter, especially on that first pitch.
Quite a career for Frenchie, who takes strike one.
Well, he spent time in AAA. That's the reason why Pat Murphy managed him in El Paso last year. But persevering through that situation and now having a nice career and a nice destination for the Philadelphia Phillies.
I believe those 10 pinch hits lead the National League. A ball and a strike. Espana trying to induce a double play chance. Infield halfway. Ripped into left field. Another pinch hit for Francoeur. All the way to the wall. 1 run scores. And holding at third as Francoeur coasts into second with an RBI double. He's done it again. It's 4-1. Altair scores from third. Blanco around to third. He has had an amazing pinch hitting season.
Well, so much of this game comes with confidence, and you could see Frenchie going down to get this baseball. And the comfort level in a batter's box, seeing the ball, and also getting opportunities at the big league level and capitalizing on it.
So second and third now. The infield draws in tightly with Cameron Rupp the hitter. He's walked, grounded to third. That was an RBI, and he's popped up. Phils are a hit away from blowing it open. Still only 1 out. Infield hit Herrera. Altair, RBI triple. Howard strikes out. Blanco hit by a pitch. Francoeur doubles to left. Phillies have had hits in only 2 innings tonight. 2 hits in the 4th when they scored 2, and 3 hits here in the 8th inning, and they've scored 2.
Well, Dick, somehow Espana has to get out of this inning. No one warming up for the Phillies because of the usage, as you touched on, the last series against the Mets. So it looks like Jerome Williams will try to finish this off, and the Padres have to figure out offensively how to come back on this one.
There's a strike with a breaking pitch. 2-1. In the 9th inning, the Padres will have the meat of their orders. Solarte, Upton, Jerko, anyone gets on Alonso. Well, now we do have some action. They've just called up Nefi Ogando. He's the one getting loose in the bullpen. 2-2 the count. It just missed. Could have been a strike. In fact, that's a pitcher's pitch, but he didn't get the call.
A lot of time in between pitches for Espana.
One, and Rupp is going to make him pay for it. That is deposited deep. His 7th home run of the year is a 3-run shot. And a close 2-1 game has been blown wide open here in the 8th inning by Philadelphia. 7-1.
Well, it looked like Cameron Rupp sat on this curveball, and it hangs there. That's a nice, powerful swing by Rupp. What a sound.
5 runs now of damage done here in the 8th, so it's a 7-1 game. Still only 1 out. Freddie Galvis, the batter.
With a single, double, triple, and a home run, the Philadelphia Phillies have hit for the cycle this inning.
Not good. So the last place team in the National League East, after being knocked around by the Mets 4 in a row, turns around and continues to harass this Padre team, winning all 3 in San Diego and now pounding out a 7-1 lead late on their home grounds. Chases in the dirt, strike 3, finally the 2nd out. And that'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Jerome Williams, the pitcher. Doesn't get a lot of chances to hit, but as a starter, he's had some chances this year. As a career hitter, 110 batting average. This year, he's 2 for 30. One of the hits a double. Base is empty thanks to Cameron Rupp's long home run to left field. 3-run blast. Rupp with a 4 RBI night. 7 runs on 6 hits. High pop up at home plate. And Norris clutches it. 8 men come to bat. 5 of them score. It's 7-1. Stays in the game in right field. Altair goes to left field. And the same pitcher, Williams, on the mound. Tomorrow night, 3:30 actually afternoon back in San Diego. It'll be game 2 of the series. Colin Ray on the mound for the Padres. Lefty Adam Morgan, another part of the youth movement for Philadelphia, will go for the Phillies. Hope you'll join us. And there's the change. Altair moving from right field to left field. Trancour staying in the game in right. 9th inning. Solarte, Upton, and Jerko for the Padres. The last 19 innings, San Diego is a total of 5 hits. That's going back to the 7th inning home run by Justin Upton in game 2 in Washington when the Padres prevailed 6-5.
Well, Dick, you'll always go through those phases as an offense, but what you can do to control that is hit off the fastball, get back and engaging in that fastball. Too many fastballs has been taken the last 2 nights.
Solarte 0 for 3. Long out to left the first time, and he's bounced out to second the last 2 at bats. Last couple of months, the Padres' most consistent hitter, along with Matt Kemp. Kemp not playing again tonight. We'll see if he's available tomorrow. He's taking until a strike, and there it is, 2-1. In case you weren't with us, again, it's just a stunning statistic. Ground ball right at Howard, bobbles it. Can he recover? Yes, against Solarte's speed. 1 away. This ballpark, Citizens Bank and Petco Park, both opened in 2004. So since that year, 10 years, and this season, Philadelphia has won 53, and the Padres only 23 in their meetings. Now, of course, those early years, those were Philly championship teams. But then this year, they're about to make it 4 in a row without a Padre win. Justin Upton, the only blemish on the scoreboard against Philadelphia, his home run back on the 4th inning. Number 23. Well, here's a good piece of news. We've gone back deep into the record book to check on Mark Sweeney and just see just how did you hit here at. You said that you felt like King Kong when you played here.
No,
right?
well, it's a feeling. I definitely wasn't King Kong.
No, the results are pretty good. Not pretty good, very good. 12 for 31. That comes out at 387. Come on now.
There's certain places that you see the ball much better. Fortunately for me, Philadelphia was this place. I mean, it's a great place to hit.
He's the San Diego answer to a Philly steak. Horses for courses. Upton now with the count 2-1. Did he go? Yes. Justin has tapped to the mound, hit that homer in the 4th, and flirted with another deep drive halfway on the track and left the last time up. Derek Norris. And there's a strikeout of Upton, and the Padres are down to their final out. It is contagious. Hitting kind of goes right through the lineup when you're going great, and when you're not, it just seems like no one can get a base hit.
Well, the 2-seamer underneath the barrel of Justin Upton, and the frustration continues.
Against a man who's won 4 and lost 10 and an ERA of over 4. A high fly ball, Jerko. The ballpark going to hold this one. Yes, right at the wall. Herrera makes the catch. And on that note, the game is over. The Padres held to 2 hits tonight. Only 1 run. Tough to win those. It's 7-1 Philadelphia. And let's go to Mike Pomerantz in San Diego.